other elected officials, and the gist of where all this started was trying to save the Navy Junior ROTC programs. We met today, all of us. Ms. Marks could not make it. Mr. Losi Baker, Dennis Coe, and a few others, we met today, and what we want to do is go over with you some of the things that we talked about. Can you hear me in the back? Pretty good? Okay, good. What I'd like to do is do, I guess, lack of a better term, a press release, and then we'll take some questions. Now, let me tell you up front, on the questions, we won't be able to answer every question, okay? And the reason I'm saying that is when I give you the press release, you'll understand a little bit of it. We don't know all the answers. So some of those answers we're having to look up. Basically, you know, we've had our differences in the press and what have you. But we met today, and a lot of those differences were actually miscommunication. One in case was the fact that we put out in our press release that we couldn't get the school board members to call us back. Well, we found out today some of our numbers and emails were faulty. So that's part of the problems we were having, of trying to get the school board members to call us back. And there's some other differences as well. But we were able to get in there, and we were able to talk. It was a very open forum. And in that, we were asking questions, very candid questions. And they were asking us some candid questions as well, as it should be, because we want to work together. And I can honestly tell you that everybody up here is unified in the fact that we want to benefit our students, not just the NJROTC, but every student that's in Henry County. So that was part of that. We came up with a plan. I guess you could say we hammered out a plan. It was kind of a tit for tat, really. What about this? What about that? Can you do this? Can you do that? And in that plan, we feel like it is a good plan that will benefit all the children in Henry County schools. And what we're going to do is present this plan tomorrow at 1 o'clock to the Henry County, the County Commission. So we've realized that this is an issue that is not just parents related, it's not just school board related, it's a county-wide issue. And so we want to take the next step and go to the County Commission tomorrow. So what we'll do right now is we'd like to take any questions that you have and anything, and whoever of us up here can answer that question, we'll do that. Now, as far as going into details of the plan, we can't do that. And the reason I say we can't do that is because we don't know some of the answers yet. We know where we want to go. We know what direction we want to go. But what we're trying to figure out is make sure we have the right figures, stats, and what have you. So when we do go to the commission tomorrow, when we plan that, we tell them what we got going, and we think it's a viable plan. Now, some questions have already been asked of me, what I'd like to go ahead and answer. One of the questions that's already been asked of me is, does this plan have in it to salvage, if you will, both Headland and Abbeville units? And the answer to that is yes, both units. You originally remember, if you've seen our plan, we were looking at the funding of possibly closing down the Abbeville unit and then restructuring, so that in the end, Abbeville unit still would be a strong unit. We feel it's best to try to work to get both units and that funding. So the answer to that question is yes, because that was already been asked of me. So if you have any other questions of myself, anyone that's here or over here, we'll take questions.
Have you been able to secure a source of funding so far?
We have secured some of the funding. And it's one of those things that we can give you some of the funding if we know more definite what's going on. And we'll know the answer to that tomorrow after we talk to the County Commission.
So this will be a cooperative effort between I'm assuming the state and the county?
State, county, school board, everything. That's what I'm saying. It's more than just individual entities. So when I tell you that we're unified in that, we're all going to the school board tomorrow. Not just the parents or County Commission. I'm sorry. We're on the docket for the school board Thursday as well, so a lot of meetings going on.
School board will be there.
School board will be there and in support of this.
And that was my next question, Mr. Coe. You're in support of this plan that's come up.
Certainly, and one thing I want everybody to understand: this isn't something that just cropped up on us overnight. I mean, I have worked. Major Odom has worked extensively over the last year and a half to find a solution to the problem. We just haven't been able to find it locally. We're to a point where, with the loss of the one meal that we saw last week, with that failure, our school system will now be ranked 104th out of 131 school systems in the state in local tax support. So we're lagging way behind in local tax revenue for our schools. And we've been searching and searching for the last year and a half. I spent last year and this year in Washington, D.C. trying to find answers. Major and the rest of the Chief Plumley trying to talk with officials from the Navy to find answers. People have talked about stimulus funds. We're kind of, you can imagine when the federal government sends you money, there's a hook in it somewhere. And the dilemma we run into there is Headland High School is not a Title I school, so we can't use the Title I funds there. So a lot of federal regulations, a lot of state regulations. Mr. Baker will tell you there's a lot of guidelines that we have to follow, and I think a lot of the folks that were there today found out that this is not a simple, it's a very complex issue that doesn't have a...
Happy to try. Yes, sir.
As late as a week ago, Mr. Coe, you and I discussed this issue, and y'all were miles apart. I'd like to get Mr. Baker's input on this a little bit too. What role did you play on helping bring these two sides together and get this thing rolling in this direction?
Well, a couple of days ago, Pam came to visit me, and so we talked about the situation then, and they asked me that if I would intercede and try to get both parties together. And when I first asked Mr. Coe, he accepted, and Pam accepted, so we had the meeting so that we could come to an agreement.
And so have you had input though in helping secure some of this private funding and things like that? This is just the parents that did this?
Mm-hmm. And then another reason, what we waiting on another party. You don't want to speculate as to what they would do. They don't want to speculate as to how much, what type of agreement that they would come on. So that's why we're waiting. And but we will meet with them tomorrow, and hope that they will agree, and hope that they would help us in order to proceed with this activity. But we cannot do it without the county commission, not in a needed process. So they need to act.
So where we're starting with this is because once Naval ROTC goes away, it doesn't come back. And I don't know if everybody in this room understands that. We could take away ag for a year and get it back. We could take away brick masonry for a year and we could reinstall the program. But when Naval ROTC goes, it goes for good. And that's because the new naval regulations say that a school has to have, 1,000 students before they'll even be considered for a Naval ROTC program. So what do we do 2 years from now when we're finally flush with money and we want to be able to compete with Dothan High and Northview High School and bring people into Headland and Abbeville to buy homes from our realtors, put money in our banks, and use our local clinics and our local facilities? We can't do a thing to compete with Dothan and Northview 2 years from now if we lose that program. We'll never compete with them on the same level again that we can right now. Okay, and I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to say, I told you so. Remember that one night we first came here and I said, this isn't about the school board. This is about your county commission. I told you that night it was. Okay, and the reason it is because your county commission is still paying money to keep dirt roads flat, so that man who owns that wood company can run his trucks for free across them, while your school system goes to trash. Okay? And tomorrow, if you don't come, then you need to get 10 people to come for you. And tomorrow, you let that county commission know that they answer to you, and the one thing you want is education comes first in our county, not last. Log trucks don't come before our children. Is everybody behind me going to be there? Thank you.